Hello, friends. If you're here, let's see if my earpods are connected. Sounds like they are. Hello, friends. Hello, everyone. My name is aLex Levin. I'm here with you in cyberspace through Sun and Moon Yoga Studios YouTube channel. And we'll have a short meditation after a short introduction. On the path of yoga, when you study the texts that have come to us through the ages, the first precept, might be said, first precept, although I hesitate to call them that, the first, in the first limb of the 8 limbs of yoga, if you go into studying it, there are five suggested observances, and they have to do with the laws of the universe, the laws as we know it from our human perspective. And the first one for the yogi, as for the doctor, is to do no harm. Is non-violence. Non-violating is another way it has been said. And for some reason, as I've contemplated that this week, and as often in life, and if you're watching this later, it may be different for you, but this week has been an intense week for many of us. The week of January 6th, 2021. And this do no harm is relating for me to courage. I'll try to make the connection of that leap for you. So those of you who join me in this practice of meditation and who value it, we come to the mat or to our cushion and our yoga mat to go in, to get quiet, to get still, to nurture strength, to nurture an ability to stay centered and grounded. And in some ways, going to this quiet place, and I'm always speaking from my experience and sometimes how I've digested what I've learned from my teachers. From my experience, and it was really palpable this week for some reason. It's reached a crescendo, that it takes a kind of courage just to sit, just to come to sit still and be quiet, to do even some of the quieter yoga practices of yin yoga, yoga nidra, yoga, restorative yoga. The type of yoga I teach is somatics infused, Feldenkrais inspired. It's very quiet and slower. And that courage, as I often point to, is in my experience, is I felt it in a new way this week, and maybe you will too on your path, where, of course, I want to sit, I enjoy sitting, and there are parts of me that resist it in various ways, physically, scheduling-wise, time-wise, in terms of getting to the practice itself. And then as I sit, this morning, my personal meditation earlier this morning, I was planning the whole time. I was planning, and I would notice briefly that I'm planning and ask to let go, to pop that bubble of thought. For a moment I did, for a few moments, and came back inside and into the expansiveness, and then I'd find myself planning again. I like to say, just as a little aside, that that's fine. It's not like our meditation is not valid or useful if that happens to us. So that's a little aside part, but related to this, how difficult it is to sit. And the mind churning is one kind of difficulty. The other kind of difficulty I've experienced is a little even more subtle, and yet sometimes the subtle becomes so obvious. There's certain feelings of, this isn't the one that's recent, but one that used to come up for me is grief. Another that seems to be the one coming up now. Um, I'm not coming to words with it, but there's a little, maybe it's fear. Maybe it's a little, so if you're watching, you're noticing my hand motion. It feels like it's right here between my heart and belly. And it's a little, maybe anxiety, maybe restlessness, unsettledness, and I'm not sure what it's about. But as we do sit quietly, things may arise that are not so comfortable, like that little feeling I'm describing. And so it takes a kind of courage to sit, kind of courage. Now, having said all that, it's also, as we allow ourselves, even if the mind kicks back in, as we allow ourselves to ground, to open to sound and space around, to be aware of our breath, to be doing nothing but sitting and being present to that it's also a fabulous feeling. It's a wonderful feeling, and it's a very much of a feeling like coming home, like being home. Again, for me and for many who have been my teachers and friends who've shared this practice. So I'm going to start with, before I start our 12-minute timer, given all that, I'm going to read a poem by John O'Donohue entitled On Courage, For Courage, For Courage. So that perhaps we, in terms of coming to our meditation practice and all of our life, that what this gives to us when we come in and truly get still, get quiet, and allow this homecoming, allow ourselves to see more and more of our true, see and feel and be more of our true self, that we can have this notion of courage with us, that just like the cowardly lion in the Oz story, it's already with us. And sometimes we just need to shine a bit more light on it and recognize it in ourselves and invoke it. When the light around you lessens and your thoughts darken until your body feels fear turned cold as a stone inside. When you find yourself bereft of any belief in yourself and all you unknowingly leaned on has fallen. When one voice commands your whole heart and it is raven dark. Steady yourself and see that it is your own thinking that darkens the world. Search and you will find a diamond thought of light. Know that you are not alone and that this darkness has purpose. Gradually, it will school your eyes to find the one gift your life requires hidden within this night corner. Invoke the suffering of every suffering you have ever suffered. Close your eyes. Gather all the kindling about your heart to create one spark. That is all you need to nourish the flame that will cleanse the dark of its weight of festered fear. a new confidence will come alive to urge you toward higher ground, where your imagination will learn to engage difficulty as its most rewarding threshold. So, if you haven't yet, establish your seat, steady yourself, as John O'Donohue suggests, and we'll begin our meditation with a bell and a bow. Establishing the seat. This first step of ground, of connecting the way we feel through this gift of our body, our physical form, the gift of the support of earth and her hugging force, gravity. Her invisible spin, invisible but palpable spin in the gravity, in the verticality that supports our uprightness, the buoyancy of the heart. You may find it useful anytime to return to this anchor of ground. The second anchor is today I'll go to breath for the second one. And there's nothing we need to do to be breathing. And yet we can acknowledge this continual stream of giving and receiving. Our shared life pump connecting us to all other living beings. And in the watching of the breath, we can practice a mini lesson on our own personal level, this lesson of doing no harm. As we are witness to the breath, as we might witness what impedes the breath, what stops it, what constricts it, just witnessing. There may be a jumping in to change something once you notice a certain flow or non-flow. Responses sometimes that are automatic or intentional, and the boundary between those not always real clear. And the third anchor that helps us in this sitting, silent, still, spacious process is sound. And we're just lightly, even as with ground and breath, when we come to sound, and it's a code word for not just sound, but all that meets our senses. It includes the space around us, this room of this house, of this town, of this planet. And the sounds appear to be coming from out there to in here. And if you find yourself efforting, notice that that may not be necessary. Tension is just on. It's lightly on whatever the focus is. Then it's also vastly open. As if attention is not just in here, but out there. All part of here, now. Effortlessly, relaxedly, alert to just what is here now. And so, just for this last moment, as we bring our palms together in front of our heart, as I usually do, just inviting us to feel what is our own state, what is our own state of being, of mind, of heart. Sometimes stirring, and at the end of these practices, we have dipped into a peace, into a lightness, into a warmth, into a clarity. See what that is for yourself. You may send it out to any or all beings who also benefit from recognizing these qualities that live within us as we bow together. Thank you for joining me again for our meditation, and I promised to make a bridge between the oath of non-harming and courage. And there's probably many ways to ponder this, and I invite you to ponder it through the week for yourself. So when there is harm happening around us in some way, or something that is unsettling for us, watching our own reaction, the courage to take that moment, to take the extra moments to watch our own reaction, and so that we do not add to the harm. And many of us have patterns of protecting ourselves or whatnot that can do that. So I invite you to watch that. So thanks again for being here. Please do check us out on sunandmoonstudio.com for many events on Zoom and here on YouTube, 10 a.m. every day of the week except Saturdays. Take care. Thank you, Honora, for being here. Thank you, Mary Beth, for being here. Enjoy the beautiful sunny day here in Northern Virginia.